Welcome to Minutes with Michael. Last week, we looked at the topic Making the Difference, which is the first episode of our three-part series called Making It Our Responsibility. This week, we will be looking at the topic Evil Communication Corrupts Good Manners. And that particular topic is one that I hold very close to me. I think it's quite relevant today, and I've seen it in so many scenarios and circumstances. That particular phrase is actually a verse from the Bible. It's from 1 Corinthians 15:33, and it reads, "Do not be deceived. Evil communication corrupts good manners." That particular verse from the Bible, I strongly believe is extremely relevant today. And I can share several scenarios as to why that particular verse is so relevant. Many times, you will see the behavior of some children, teenagers, young adults, and you will ask yourself, what kind of home were these children or these individuals brought up in? Sometimes these persons, even we, are familiar with them. And we will say to ourselves, isn't that Mary's child? I'm sure he comes from a good home. I'm sure she comes from a good home. But then the behavior that you see is completely different from what you know is taught in the home. And that's why this week we're looking at that particular topic. Evil communication corrupts good morals. There's this young man. His name is Paul. Paul's mother, Grace, decided to give me a call. And she said, "Michael, my son, he has just left high school. He's in need of a job. Can you help him?" I said, "At this moment, I don't think there's anything available, but I'll see what I can do." Upon checking, I realized that there was something that Paul can do. And I thought to myself several times, would Paul be the right fit for the job? I remember working with Paul's brother some time ago, and Paul's brother had so much respect and manners, it was just too much for me to handle. I said to myself, okay, Paul grew up in the same home as Peter. Peter's a lot of manners. Let me take a chance with this guy. I called Grace and I said, "Grace, send Paul. Let me try with him. There might be something. Let's see what can happen." Paul came the first day. I met with him. We did a little interview. And upon my first interaction with Paul, he was completely different from his brother. In fact, he was nothing like his brother. He was very coarse. He didn't have much manners. But I said, let me try with him still. The first day on the job, Paul was given some information to take to one of the senior manager's office. Paul went to the senior manager's office, and Paul didn't knock the door before he entered. It's actually a glass door. And this senior manager was actually doing something at the time. Paul proceeded to just open the door, enter the office, and gave the senior manager the document just like that. And I believe that Paul went as far as to say, "Eh." The senior manager said, "Excuse me?" And Paul handed the document. The senior manager received the document. make a note of the situation, and then handed the document to Paul. Upon handing the document to Paul, the senior manager made an introduction, and then Paul was asked his name. He responded. The senior manager said, okay, and Paul left. Sometime after that, I learned about the encounter with Paul and the senior manager. I went to Paul and I called him over, asked him to have a seat. He sat, and I asked him about what happened with him and the senior manager. I asked him how he entered, how did he interact, did he say good morning, and so on. When Paul told me he didn't do these things, I said to him, so Paul, don't you know these things? And he said, yes, I know them. My mom taught me them, my father taught me them. And I was shocked because I said, so Paul, why don't you do them? And he said to me, he didn't remember. He said to me that while he was going to school, he didn't have to do these things. So he forgot. And it saddens me. Because Paul, in his recent interaction, was not able to use these things he learned from home. And it wasn't important enough to Paul to remember to use these common courtesies in the workplace that he learned from home so many years ago. Evil communication corrupt good manners. And this is the situation. A lot of times, there are persons who grow up in nice, proper homes. It might not be a home in Cherry Gardens. It might not be a home in a nice residential community. It might be somebody growing up in a home in the garrisons. But the parents, they grew up on good manners, on good morals, and they teach their children these things. However, when the child or children get exposed to others, get exposed to friends, get exposed to different experiences, circumstances, what they were taught at home is totally forgotten. And what they learn most recent is what we see. And sometimes this is the reason why we have so much disrespect in a society. This is why you will not see a young man seeing an old lady stand up in our bus and offer her his seat. I can remember growing up, there was this lady who lived in the community, old lady, and I can remember my father going to meet that old lady to take her bag from her when she was going home and walking her home. And because I saw my father doing that, I started doing it as well. So when my father didn't see that old lady and I saw her, I took her bags and I walked with her home. If I'm on the bus, if I'm at the doctor's office and there's a lady standing or an old person standing, I will give them my seat. That's the way I was brought up. And despite the different environments I have been in, it doesn't change what I've learned from my parents. But sadly, a lot of our teens, a lot of our youth, they don't see the importance of exercising good manners. My audience, make it our responsibility to teach the youth how to operate in this world of work. The good thing about the scenario with Paul and the senior manager is that that senior manager decide to take it upon themselves to remind Paul of what it is like to exercise good manners and why it is important. My audience, I challenge you to do these things. Make a difference in someone's life today. You don't know the impact, the change, or what it will do for this person 5, 10, 15 years from now. As you decide to make a difference in someone's life, please remember, don't just say, don't just tell, do. Lead by example as well, so that the person that you are leading, that you are mentoring, will not only say that my mentor said this, but they will also say, my mentor did this. Stay safe, my audience. Much love and peace. Until next time. If you enjoy the content on Minutes with Michael, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. For those on YouTube, please ensure you click on the notification bell so that you are notified when new minutes are released. Additionally, please suggest possible topics for discussion or for me to share my opinion. The statements made on Minutes with Michael are solely my beliefs on particular matters, and no one is compelled to follow my opinions or agree with them. Thank you for listening. Until we meet again on Minutes